Okay, next map up in the Hammerfall Grifball Court contest through Forge Hub and Grifball Hub. This next entry is uh, Sangheili Colosseum by Cirin. The canvas is title. The description: May the best gladiator win. So let's. I just spawned in. I'm already seeing problems, but we'll get these problems fixed. Oh wait, maybe these aren't problems. Oh, I get it now. He's got running starts set to run upstairs. That is pretty clever. So let's see what happens when the players run up these stairs. Oh, that's so cool. Then they jump right in here. Okay, so I get that. That makes sense. He's got the proper blockers. There's a few little issues, but we'll go over that in a second. I'm just going to go back down to that room. I just want to make sure that his running starts are far enough. Yes, they take you right out to here, and they give the player, they don't give player control until they're right here. Till they're right here, that's when they can thrust forward or whatever. Just gonna have another quick look in the back room here. Want to make sure that there's not any problems with kill volumes. No, it shouldn't be. It should be fine. Cool. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. I don't need to close that up. What he should do is this area here. He should make it. Yeah, you see, he's got this indent here. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. But what I think I would do, oh, I see. He's got these here because otherwise he would have perches. So that makes sense. I was going to say you should push him back a little bit, but that's okay. Wait, let's just see what happens when we push them back, because there's no, you can't get on top of those perches there. See, you could afford to push them back just a little bit. It's not too bad though. I don't have a problem with that. Just maybe just push them out a little bit. It's just that these overhangs, that's not a problem. Someone throws the ball up there, they're gonna expect to get some kind of weird bounce off of this anyhow. So that's okay. That's not a problem. As he's very careful about not allowing perches here. Just have to make sure some of these little toe holds like that, sometimes players can get on them. So you probably can't in this case, but and I'm sure he's probably tested to make sure, but everything else looks solid as far as perches go. I was going to say that ceiling looked uneven, but it isn't. That's fine. Everything looks kind of good. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So he's used the one-way team blockers on each side. He's using them correctly. See, I can't go through that one, but I can go through this one. Can't go out, but I can go in through it. So yeah, he's used the team blockers properly. So that's it for the top of the court. The containment looks good. Ceiling's nice and even and smooth. Not that that's a big deal, but it you do want to keep the contain the players in. So a few things. Next, spawns are incorrect, but that's a really simple fix. Very, very simple fix. Unfortunately, the way to fix it, well, here, I'll show you how to fix it. I'll show you how to fix your spawns. If you've done this wrong spawns and you want to bring, you can just use my prefab to bring the spawns in properly. So all I would do is I'd just go select all and delete all the spawns that are on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the spawn prefab in, and we're going to use it. We're going to make sure that his measurement's right for the goal, and if it is, then we're just going to extract the spawns from it and continue on from there. So let's get out here. Wait, did I already open a ceiling? No, I got to open a hole in the ceiling. You can patch that up. Prefabs, yeah, just bookmark my prefabs if you want. Grifball 4v4 respawns. Not enough room. Let's try that again. There we go. And I should probably check to make sure that that's blue on that side and red on that side. And it is. There's red. There's blue. So that's the same way he's got his court. We aren't gonna actually use this whole prefab. We're just gonna use the spawns from it. And so the way to do that is you just drop this prefab and you change it so that the parent item is the bomb pickup. Okay, so let's go change the. You just do that until, if you look at the bottom of that menu, you'll see spawn volume, spawn point, ball stand return. You want ball stand spawn. So that made this the parent item. Okay, so you just bring this in. You make sure you have your magnets are turned on. Magnets are turned on, and you're just going to magnetize this and stick it onto the existing one. There we go. See, it just snapped right to it. I just want to check what the measurements are on that. So this isn't the standard court. Standard courts are at 0 horizontal, 0 forward. That's fine. That's not a problem. I'm just doing this to make sure that you see that. I don't know if you can see it, but that is stuck directly to magnetize directly to his ball stand. Okay, there, and you can even see it's Z fighting. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that these line up. So yes, you see the capture plate lines up with his. It's a little bit off, but that's fine. It's not enough. Yeah, you see, it's not enough that. Like, you can barely tell it's off. You see that the width of that from that bolt there to that one there, so that's okay. And that one's bang on, or close enough anyhow. That's definitely within acceptable. See, it's the same distance from the center. That's and I'm not sure if it's actually magnetized to the correct piece in here. Actually, it is there. Either way, that's good. So that's all we wanted to get from that. So what we're going to do is we're going to raise this whole thing raise it so it's out of the court. And where's my hole in the ceiling again? I've lost it. Where is the hole? There it is. Okay, I'm going to raise this all the way out. Okay, and then I'm going to ungroup it, and then I'm going to delete the things I don't need. So don't need the bomb pickup. The safe volume doesn't matter. The spawn volumes are fine too, in case he's forgotten his. Okay. And get rid of that. Okay, so the gameplay items are gone. Everything else is outside of the court anyhow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one spawn and do a select all. See, it selected 12. Okay, and then we're also going to add the initial spawn point to that, and this initial spawn point to that, and then all we're going to do is we're just going to drop them straight back down. Movement type is set to object. Now if the object isn't perfectly square, it's going to go off on a bit of an angle. So all I'm going to do then is I'm going to use this will take a second, but object properties, I'm going to make a group. Actually, I'm just going to change the vertical. See, the Z vertical is all 69.3. We're just going to lower that until everything's in place. Simple as that. See, we've extracted the spawns out of the prefab, And now we're just going to lower them into place to replace the ones that are on the map without disrupting anything else that's on the map. We could have deleted his bomb pickup and bomb spawn, but sometimes they spend a lot of time placing them and they don't want to have to do it again, and plus it's under the floor. So this makes it easier. They're coming eventually. I don't see them. And my controller's disconnecting. Just be 1 sec. I just gotta plug some fresh batteries into the controller. And good to go. All right, I just want to go see where they are. Oh, they're right there. Okay. See, we're just going to lower them down into position. Now, I would use a faster way to do this is to set your snap to 4 feet, but then that will actually change their horizontal position as well to the nearest 4 foot. So I just leave it on Z fight. It takes longer to do, but this way you'll know you've done it right. It takes longer to do, but oh well. I'm going to just speed this up by just dropping them in manually. I don't recommend this because, as I say, if they aren't perfectly square, they'll all go off in a different direction when you try to move them. So I'm just going to pretend I did, turn magnets off, and just go down until they move in really close with your camera, and just move them down. And you'll see them go into the invisible blocker, and then bring a one unit. It's either one unit into the invisible blocker, one unit out, and that way they're just sitting on top. And then just release them. That's all you need to do. So there's fresh spawns that are in the correct spawn orientation, extracted from the prefab. You might want to the safe volume that was up here. It always helps to have these. They aren't required with Halo 5, but if they ever fix the safe and kill zones, you will need them. So I have them in place on all my maps, whether they're needed or not. They're in there, and you just lower it until it's just above where your ceiling is, and make sure it's centered. And in this case, make the object a bit wider. There you go. Make it a bit longer too in this case. There you go. As I said, they aren't necessary, but as I said, if they ever fix safe volumes, then you will definitely need them. So it doesn't hurt to have them in place. So there we go. That's the spawns. The other thing to check for is, see, I can clamber on this ledge here. That's definitely a no-no. It's a very easy fix. You don't have an invisible blocker here, so you should, and I see why, because you have this this staircase up here, so you don't have a lot of room to play with as far as invisible blockers go on your wall here. So the way I would do that is I would place either a series of smaller invisible blockers, or here's what I'll do. Long invisible blockers. So we'll go to extras, invisible blockers, and let's go block, and let's go 128 64 by 64. Okay, this is the size the size and shape we're going to use, and we're going to use it the long way. And I'm just going to place one to show you how you should place these. Normally they're up like so, and the reason why is they prevent people from clambering on these back walls, because you can't have clambering on the back wall, because this is the wall that the runner uses to jump. He'll use it to jump over player's head when he's making a run for the goal, That's as an option for him there. If he clambers on it, it takes control away from the player, and they lose control for a split second while it's doing the clamber animation, and it's extremely frustrating to jumpers when they mean to jump on something and then all of a sudden they've clambered, because normally when they jump, they're going to do, well, I didn't do it there, but they're going to do a jump and then another jump. They're going to do a real quick double jump to get some really nice height to either ground pound down into the goal or just jump over a player's head. But if they had their opportunity to do a double jump gets taken away by a clamber, it really frustrates them. So we have to make sure that there is no clambering whatsoever along the entire length of the goal end wall. So in this case, you would put a block there, but you can't on yours because that block will also block these stairs. So that's not an option for you. Okay, so what you can do instead is of putting that there. In most cases that would work, but in your case it won't. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to get a wall instead. And it doesn't matter what size. So let's say a 128 by 64. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn that wall back, say 5 degrees, 10 degrees. And we're going to put that, tuck it up underneath. Let's go back to 5 degrees. We're going to tuck that up underneath here. See, there we go. We've cut off the opportunity for wall hopping. And then this just blends into the wall above. Now, you see it still blocks this up here. In that case, I'm going to save you some pieces. Let's get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay, I've deleted your one-way, your team one-ways. Okay, I've deleted those. And the reason why is I'm going to do this, and I always do it facing away. It just works out better this way. I'm going to get a one-way, 128 team pass. Not enough room. Let's try that again. Team pass. Object properties. Change it to blue team. Okay, so that is the same as the things that the blockers that you used for your starting starting spawn room. All I'm doing is expanding them. I'm taking. You had two little ones. I'm just going to place one big one. So this is now acting as your team one-way blocker. Okay, team one-way blocker, and it's doubling as your clamber blocker. So that goes all the way up to there. So just spawn that one, and then two more, and then another one. I'm just duplicating them there, and you've got these blocks sticking out, so these tuck in nicely. So I can just magnetize them to the ones that are there. Hold on a sec. Let me just pull them all out. Yeah, they only need to be. Yeah, they only need to be the height of this. So let's just put. There we go. Here, see what I did there? They're all three team blockers. They prevent clamber, and they act as your one-way for your starting ramps there. So there you go. You only added one more piece to it, and you solved the problem of clamber. Simple as that. So just do that to the other side. your side clamber ledges seem to be okay. As I say, tell everyone, make sure that you can clamber anywhere there's a joint. And you only test clambering in game mode. See, I'm not clambering there. Because sometimes there's a problem with clambering where two pieces intersect. You could have problems, okay? Check in forge mode, or sorry, check in game mode, not in forge mode, because it might be perfectly fine in game mode. But what I would do is try each one of these joints 20 and 30 times at each part of the joint, and make sure there's absolutely no dead zones. See, what was a dead zone before? See, it just depends on how you exactly hit the angle of it. So just make sure that they're perfectly each one of these is perfectly clamberable in game with the actual Grifball game type. Okay, and make sure there's no dead spots. See, there's another dead spot right there. It's the same one, and if I move over just a hair, it clambers. See. So just make sure there's no dead spots at all in the length of that wall. If you find you have multiple dead spots, you can just build this out with invisible blockers and totally just move your wall back in just a bit and completely enclose this in solid invisible blockers. Just use a 128, 128, 128s, and you'll need 3 of them. These outside ones are turned at 7-degree angles. These are flat or flush, 90-degree angles. And then test them as well. So I think that is about it. I'm just gonna look. There's a little bit of a moire pattern when you look at the stands. And anytime someone's built Colosseum style maps, you have to be concerned that, I don't know, it's not too bad in this one, but where you have stands, you're gonna get, I don't know if you can see it in the video, where you have stands, you're going to get a bit of a problem with this moire pattern developing. It's distracting. Now this is outside of the line of sight for players, so I would say don't be concerned about this. But other Colosseum maps, if you have, and plus your stairs are nice and chunky. So if for other people who are building Colosseum maps, if you use the stairs piece and you start them down low, you will get visual problems. So you have to be careful of that. Now I did notice just now, I get frame rate when I look at all those characters. Okay, this is forge mode, it's not game mode, but you have to be absolutely sure that you have 100% perfect frame rate performance on a Grifball court. No laggy bits at all, even if you're looking up at these crowds. So you might want to simplify like the structure that's back in there. You're using a lot of pieces. You might want to simplify it by having the piece with the hole in it, then a solid piece, and just kind of spacing them out and not overlapping them as much. But I think what you should do is look at it in game mode and see if you have frame rate. Like, and the way I check frame rate is I walk in an arc shape and I sweep the gun across as I'm walking. I don't just turn this, I actually sweep. And that way you're moving your feet and your head at the same time. And then you just look at the most populated part of the map and you see how bad, I don't know if it shows in the video or if the video's Yankee anyway, but really bad frame rate when you're looking up at there. What I would do in that case is save another version of the map, go through, delete 10 of those characters from that 10 of these characters from this side, 10 of the characters from that side, and save it as another version, and check for frame rate, and keep eliminating them until you have perfectly smooth frame rate. As I said, in game, not in forge mode. Forge mode will cause frame rate that you don't see in game, so make sure there's no frame rate issues in game, and if you do, you really need to simplify. And I would say the best way to simplify is just to reduce the number of spectators that are up there. Yeah, you see, because it's fairly smooth frame rate. It's very smooth frame rate until the characters get into the scene, then it messes up. See, when I look at this, no problems whatsoever. When I look at that, it's just terrible. So get your frame rate fixed. That's really important. We're not putting any maps forward that have frame rate issues, okay? So you have to get frame rate under control in order to continue on in this contest. And that's an absolute. That's something everyone's got to follow. All the checklist things. So as I said, the thing, just to summarize the things you need to do: frame rate, of course, I just said that. These team one-way blockers, extend them to the full size of the wall so that you can't clamber. Check all your clamber. Replace the spawns with the proper shape spawns. And as I say, the easiest way to do that is to take to spawn the prefab elsewhere. Just spawn it over the water, delete everything you don't need, and then just bring it back in. Or in this case, oh, I don't know if you know about these guys here, but that can't be good. Yeah, or just simply mark the middle of the floor. Just stick a column or something in there, and then delete your gameplay stuff and all your spawns, and then just drop the entire 4v4 Grifball spawns. Just drop the prefab in, and that should be all you need to do. I think that about covers it. So make sure you get all those fixes in, and when you do fix your court, make a note of it in the... Oh, right. Sorry, before I go. These blocks, the 128 walls, can shift in custom games only on the Xbox One. They're fine in custom games on the PC, but just make sure that these pieces here can shift, and by shifting I mean this is what can happen. They can turn like this, and then this one can turn like this, and they can actually end up like this in game, and you can't see it, but you'll end up with a ledge or a hole. So what I would recommend is, after you get your frame rate under control, replace these 128 walls, and replace them with 128 cubes. Okay, so that if they do shift a little, the sheets will shift more than the blocks will. If they do shift, you're not going to end up with a hole in your wall. You'll end up with an inconvenient bump, possibly even a ledge here. But with the 128s, plus these are up higher, you can actually pull them out a little bit, so they remove any possibility of perches if they do shift. You see how I pulled these out a bit? So replace them with 128s, and then pull them out a little bit, so that they so as I say, if they shift, they won't expose perches if they do shift. Anyhow, you get that. I'm not wording it right, but you know what I mean. So everything else seems to be okay. Take care of everything I mentioned and resubmit. And sorry, don't resubmit. Edit your map post with a note saying that you've updated your map, you've made this, and this change, and put a date on it so that I know if it's after this video date, then I'll know to look at your map again. Okay, so make sure you just edit your original post in the contest. On the bottom of it, just say, this is the changes I made. Do not resubmit it. A lot of people have been doing that. Do not resubmit it. Oh, and also your floor is perfectly fine, perfectly smooth. Nothing wrong with that at all. Even a little bit of invisible blocker Z fighting, which I love to see, because that means it's perfectly smooth. So get those things fixed and get your map updated, and we'll look at it again in a week or so once that's done. Okay, thank you for watching this, and this will be up at YouTube shortly.